A biblical perspective on life, culture and current events. This is 2020 on Vision.
Well, if you might be thinking the past 5 years have been tough here in Australia, we might spare a thought or two for faithful Christians working in some very difficult circumstances across the Middle East. An update today from Lebanon, and more specifically, the capital in Lebanon, Beirut. You might remember one of the biggest non-nuclear explosions rocking Beirut back in 2020. It almost crippled the nation's economy. As well as that, all the issues with Hezbollah, who were attacking Israel, and Beirut sustaining devastating retaliatory strikes. And now there's been deadly church bombings in neighbouring Syria that have Christians on edge. Well, our absolute privilege to talk to Nabil Costa, who's the General Secretary of the Association of Evangelical Schools in Lebanon. He's the CEO of Thimar, the Lebanese Society for Educational and Social Development. Nabil Costa, a special welcome along to 2020.
Thank you, and good afternoon to you. Thank you for having me.
Nabil, you've got a new government in Lebanon, but the nation remains in pretty deep and difficult circumstances. How do you describe how Lebanon is faring?
Well, number one, I'm always, and we are always grateful to God for whatever situation we are in. Sometimes, even most of the times, we don't understand what is His will, what is His desire. We are amazed, or we are sometimes surprised why we are always in this type of situation. However, it is we discovered it's a blessing to obey without understanding. It's a blessing to obey without complaining, and this is what God taught us to be. And when we are practicing this commandment to obey regardless, God is blessing us more and more. The situation now in Lebanon is way much better than before. Unfortunately, lots of blood has been shed, which we don't like it and we don't understand it. But you spoke about a government. Now we have a clean government, professional one. Of course, it's not 100% as we wish, but like all countries and politicians. However, I am proud of this government now. I am proud of our president, of our prime minister, because they have a good reputation, clean people, they want to serve the country. So we are in a better position to answer your question.
And of course, the Lebanese government, very different to the organisation of Hezbollah. So when you say a clean government, that's a government that isn't beholden to other authorities. Is that the way you describe a clean government?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, a clean government, accountable to the prime minister and accountable to the president, like your country, like any country, and they are free to make the decisions they want, which we didn't have for the recent 30 years, something like that. It was too much conditions and so on. Now it's the contrary. They decide whatever is good for the country.
With all of the unrest of these recent times, and really going back over those 5 years, how have Christians fared in all of the disputes, the conflict, the war? How have churches fared in all of that? I mean, is it a good story or a bad one?
It is a good story. And it is surprising with all this difficult situation for the church. It is a good story. You and I, we know and we believe nothing will happen without His will, without His knowledge, without His permission. You and I, we know this and we believe in this. So we are in a position in the recent 5 years, God opened many doors for the ministries. Yeah, I never thought that people with non-Christian background will come that much to know the Lord. I never expected our churches to be filled with people from non-Christian backgrounds, especially from Syria and now from Lebanon. And because we are on the border of Syria, sometimes we have Sunnis coming our way, sometimes we have Alawites. It depends on their political situation. So you'll be surprised to learn, Neil, that many people, I don't want to say thousands, I want to say that I know of hundreds of people are coming to the Lord from non-Christian background. So you see that in Europe and different countries, the church is declining and their economy is booming. In our situation, the church is shining in a bad economy and a bad situation. It seems a condition for the church to shine is terrible situation. People do not appreciate the grace God has given them. So in Lebanon, God is using the church in those difficult days. And I hope in Europe, North America, Australia, people will appreciate the grace they are in and use it to glorify the name of our Lord.
I mentioned the deadly church bombings in neighbouring Syria, and Syria, it's just across the border from where you are. Is that putting Christians on edge in their own church environments? It takes a certain level of courage, doesn't it, as a Christian believer, just to be in church on Sunday when you recognise that some things could go astray, some things could go wrong, you could be under attack. How do you feel about Christians in church on Sundays?
Yeah, I'll open my heart to you now. We are minority Christian in this region amongst 450 million non-Christians and Muslims and so on. We are always minorities. Unfortunately, this is our destiny. We will always be persecuted. We will always be under challenge. We will always have issues. And because the West and North America and Australia, they don't think Muslim and Christian. They think human beings. They think of the people. They cannot, you will never hear someone in US or in Australia say, we want to protect the Christians of Lebanon, the Christians of Syria. If you touch them, we will do this and that. This is not the new civilization. People now, they want, if I might say, to protect a nation. They protect the human rights or whatever. So we will always be under this situation. In Syria, we are minorities. In Lebanon, we are minorities. In Jordan, we are minorities. Although we are in Lebanon, we are blessed as Christians. But this is, in Syria, if you are under the Alawite regime, the Christians are minorities. We always need to praise the leader, shine the apple, and so on to maintain that we will survive. Now, a complete new regime that we have as well to abide to them, whether in Syria, and some of them, they still hate the Christians. If you have when you are living in mud and in dirt for 30 or 40 or 50 years, you have this generation who grew up in the mud. So you cannot clean everything in 4 months and 6 months and 8 months. Because you have planted bad seeds for 30 years. It takes a year or 2 or 3 to clean it. So you need keep us, the minorities, in your prayers. Keep us our protection, because the West is not protecting Christians. They don't deal this way. So we are persecuted, but we want to go to churches. And in Syria, they are going to churches. In Lebanon, in Jordan, and God is helping us under certain difficult situation.
And you're into the distribution of educational materials, Nabil. One thing to talk about Christians in churches and remaining faithful and courageous just to turn up and to be alongside people they don't know on a Sunday. But what about school teachers? They're remaining at their post as well. an act of faithfulness too, isn't that when you're talking about Christian school teachers? You're well connected and distributing educational materials. What do you understand about school teachers who are also in places of risk?
We have, of course, we have a challenge. The main challenge now in the recent 5 or 6 years in Lebanon, in Syria, and Jordan, all qualified Christian workers in any field, in medicine, in education, in labor, in any field, they want to leave the Middle East. We are tired from this situation. As a matter of fact, qualified Christians and the qualified Muslims, they want to leave the area to go to the North America or Australia or Europe or wherever they can, or the Gulf. Half of our teachers are in the Gulf region. So, by the way, I have to say something. The qualified Christians and Muslims, especially Lebanese Muslims, we live with them in peace. We have excellent relation. And 5 or 10% of the population can ruin your reputation. But we live in general with 90% of non-Christians, with Muslims in Lebanon in peace, and they marry, and in our school we have 90% Muslims. But those educated people, especially Christians and general Muslims, they want to leave the Middle East. They finish. I want to live in a country where I can build a house and nobody will ruin it for me after a year or two. This is the main challenge. So everybody is under this threat, teachers and others.
The threat there is so strong. People are tempted to escape and to leave the destruction and the conflict. But there are, in the education sector, there are people who are children who are needing to be educated. There are people with special needs. What is it, do you think, that keeps people at their post in church, in schools, teaching Christian education? What's holding people there steady and firm?
Yeah, we have, I can wholeheartedly say, after all those years with Christ, me and others and our workers and other ministries, and they are doing great. Life Agape, Youth for Christ, many excellent ministries in the region. They will be crowned as well in heaven. Now we have a call to stay here. By the way, I was in your country 2 months ago. What a beautiful country, Australia. I went to the Opera House. It's excellent. And I wish I stay in Australia. But I do not want, because I feel guilty. God is calling me to stay in Lebanon. Is Lebanon better than Australia? No way. But I feel here, this is my comfort zone. This is where God wants me to be. And many others, hundreds of people, are staying because we have a call. We want to serve the Lord here. We want to see, we are blessed to have the great commandment. We are blessed to work in his field. You might think, this man is naive, look what he's saying. But my pleasure when I land in Beirut and I am afraid the plane to be bombed, this is my pleasure. This is my comfort zone. Why? I do not know. But this is the real call from God.
Well, certainly, Nabil, a special honour to you and all of the team that you work with in the ministry, and such widespread and wonderful influence that you have. I mentioned Nabil Costa is the General Secretary of the Association of Evangelical Schools in Lebanon, and he's the CEO of Thimar. That's the Lebanese Society for Educational and Social Development. And, it's an inspiration, Nabil, to hear your courage and to hear your heartbeat and to know that your faithfulness to God is right there. You're wearing that so loudly and proudly on your sleeve. Let me connect you with, there'll be some listeners who would no doubt love to become new friends of the good work that you're doing. I'll give the Thimar website, thimar.org. That's thimar.org. That's the Lebanese Society for Educational and Social Development, thimar.org. I want to Thank you so much, Nabil, for taking some time to share your thoughts and your heart with us today on 2020.
Thank you so much. Have a blessed afternoon. Thank you.
Thanks for taking time to listen to this audio on demand from Vision Christian Media. To find out more about us, go to vision.org.au.